Hello, and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest gaming news, rumors, and speculation, and oh geez, do I have quite the video for you all. It's probably going to be unfortunately controversial, and as a video that I kind of debated on making, but I do want to talk about the new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, and this is a trending situation right now. I'm sure this video will get its own fair share of hate regardless of the fact that I'm focusing on factual information here, and before I get into anything, let me be very clear from the beginning. I am only stating facts and community opinion in this video based on recent trending circumstances. I support and stand for equality amongst all races, genders, and people, also orientations, which is something I've talked about both on Twitter, the channel, and publicly in my videos. I've even gotten my own fair share of hate for supporting what I consider to be just basic human rights here, but it seems like whenever we get something good in life, it always has a catch to it, and with the recent Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake announcement, we got one of those oh no, nothing is ever perfect scenarios, as it seems like the new Knights of the Old Republic has a very toxic and hate-filled individual writing for the game, potentially based on your own opinion and perspective here. And it's somebody who has not only made several existing sexist statements in the past, but somebody who has in turn straight up hated on the entire Star Wars audience almost, and also someone who has further publicly stated that they don't even like Knights of the Old Republic, which is kind of strange that you'd even hire someone in the first place who hates your game to work on the remake, but nonetheless, I plan on breaking all this drama down for you today. Remember though, let's make sure the comments section is positive and not toxic, because just because I happen to be reporting on what the community believes to be a toxic writer and a recent trending situation doesn't mean we need to sink to their level and start attacking people here. It's 2021. I feel like we all should be evolved a little bit more here, and we should be welcoming and able to discuss something without being toxic. Just because I may not completely agree with someone's viewpoint doesn't mean it's time to attack me or anyone else for that matter. To do so is to admit defeat and basically be part of the problem. However, let's get away from all this and let's begin with the situation. First off, in case you haven't heard the amazing news because you live under a rock or maybe even inside a rock, or maybe you are a rock if you haven't heard about this, at the recent Sony event, a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake was finally announced, which is freaking amazing, by the way, as many people, including myself, lost their collective mind and soul when we saw this announcement. Mr. Matty Plays had the best reaction on his stream. Knights of the Old Republic is one of the best and most influential RPGs out there to date, and the original still stands up well to the tests of time. The KOTOR remake, though, will launch exclusively on the PlayStation as well as PC, which isn't much of a surprise to be honest, but this has already no doubt started a huge, separate toxic battle amongst the console war types. Regardless, the KOTOR remake is going to be rebuilt from the ground up in order to make the story and the game more approachable to a modern audience, which is kind of a strange statement to make because the original game is still approachable to a modern audience, so I don't know what they're trying to say with that, but some toxic people on the other side of the spectrum here are already assuming that this means the entire game will be changed and reshaped in order to fit some sort of social justice narrative. But to be honest, the original KOTOR was actually somewhat progressive for its time, and to be even more honest, it's one of the reasons it stood out back then and was actually so good despite all the other gameplay stuff that made it stand out and made it amazing. So thinking automatically here that the new KOTOR would somehow be turned into a social justice statement is a bit ignorant and something that the KOTORing would do. However, I will say all of this. Like I said before, women definitely need more representation and support in the gaming industry, as the recent Blizzard situation made even more obvious, and there are plenty of people out there who do great work for this movement and actually help change the industry for the better, as there are indeed very toxic people on both sides of the fence here in the gaming community that still seem to forever have some kind of glitched hatred boner for girls or anyone else in this industry that isn't just like a dude or something, which is toxic as fuck, man. However, on the opposite side of the fence, you have some hatred and toxicity as well. You have people thinking that they're doing great work for women's rights when actually they're producing more drama and negativity than they're actually trying to fix, and they're cementing cementing even more separations between the genders here, which is not the way to fix this at all. Some of these people are so incredibly toxic that they have basically told male Star Wars fans to go kill themselves, and routinely blame men for the majority of every problem with every game or movie, which is kind of weird. That reminds me of it's not my problem, it's a you problem scenario, which is very egotistical and absent-minded. This is not social justice. This is instead literal hate, and in some cases straight up sexism, as trying to fight hate with even more hate only creates, lo and behold, more hate. Imagine that. You add hate to hate and you get hate. Wow, big surprise. I remember learning that when I was like 9 years old, and unfortunately, the writer for the Star Wars KOTOR remake has a history of public toxicity and sexism, at least according to the community. This is where my own opinions are going to step back here, and where I will simply be reporting on the news. So remember, don't hate on me, don't take it out on the video, don't take it to my comment section. This is reporting on news. If you don't like what you're seeing in this video, it's something that happened and something that somebody did. Hate on them for it. Don't hate on me for literally telling you what somebody else did. That's stupid. I support equal rights in every endeavor here, and at the same time, I gotta call out toxicity when I see it, and there is indeed a very real chance that the KOTOR remake could be affected by this very same toxic mindset of a certain individual. First off, this writer in question is named Samantha Maggs, or Sam Maggs. I'm just assuming what her first name is here, which probably is bad, but her name is Sam Maggs, and she is somebody who I actually totally respected a long time ago, as she is a hard-working and passionate person in this industry, and at first she was doing great work to get women the recognition they deserved. That is, until something changed and she enabled her hate filter, lashing out at both the Star Wars community and even further hating on men any opportunity she could get. In fact, a couple years ago there was a support women in the industry situation going on, and she even publicly was taking questions from people. And I don't have a screenshot of this, I probably should, but I asked her a question about, like, do you write the ending of the game first, or do you, like, just work your way up to that? And she literally responded by saying, "Ill, white male, get away." That was her response to me. She told me "ill, white male" without even knowing anything about me, just based on my own profile picture. That's sexism, dude, and that's hatred, and actually that memory is one of the main reasons I'm even doing this video. Like I said, there is a fine line here that I was talking about before, where you eventually cross over from social activist to straight-up hate-filled sexist. And yes, hating men is sexism, just like hating anyone of a different race would be racism. And why a company would hire somebody with such a large history of toxicity is beyond me, as it's already tainting the hype for this KOTOR remake. You just gotta Google the situation and it's already trending and popping up, and mark my words here, there's probably going to be a lot of discussion about this exact scenario in the days to come. I am sure this video will probably already get a lot of hate here, but to be honest, I feel like I'm speaking the truth. You don't fix a system full of hate by adding more hatred to it. That's just stupid. And recently, according to the community, she would inject this hate and toxicity into whatever project she worked on, and I can't prove it, but people are saying that she's led to games being basically dissolved, she was fired for this kind of stuff, and that stuff I can't prove. It's probably just people making that up, but nonetheless, let's step away from this discussion a bit, as I can already smell the gunpowder and anger down in the comment section below. Let's move over to straight-up professional, technical issues here in terms of just game development. Sam Maggs is legit quoted as saying she hates Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and with that in mind, why the hell would you hire somebody who hates your game? That makes no sense and doesn't bode well for the product in the future to come. And on top of all this, somebody who also has a history of toxic sexism, it seems almost obvious that at this point she will no doubt attempt to implement some of her hatred into the game's story, as the game is said to be a complete remake, with the story itself even being altered to better accommodate modern perspectives. And although that statement in itself doesn't state anything, the fact that I don't know why they're saying that, because the game's story is already able to be accepted by a modern audience, that statement's just weird and actually gets me a little bit worried, to be honest. There's already other YouTubers who are tweeting about this, but deleting their tweets because they're worried about receiving the hate from the very same toxic sexists that I'm worried about in this video. This already sounds like the game won't be anything like the Knights of the Old Republic we remember, which is my main issue here and the main reason I'm doing this video. And seeing how I am a man here, and even though I look white, I am Italian, I'm sure I'm already gonna get hated on for being white. Even though I'm Italian, I'm pretty sure I'd immediately be dismissed by people like this, as people on the opposite side of the fence here who are sexist and toxic basically will just say I'm ignorant and mansplaining here, despite all the trials and tribulations I suffered actually from speaking in defense of women in this industry. I've had numerous videos that I'm sure many of you will remember that have been massively reported on by Blizzard and toxic, I guess, men in the industry or something, and those videos were taken down, and I was even issued a warning from YouTube. All for speaking out against Blizzard for basically abusing women, which is disgusting, yet I am sure people will still try to call me out because of this video as being a toxic white male, which is quite hypocritical seeing how I am calling out a toxic white female. But no, they get a pass for the hate here, which no one should ever get a pass for hatred, even if you are the most victimized person ever. You don't get a pass for hate just because you're a victim. That's like, hey, that's the reason people... A lot of people with violent tendencies tend to have those tendencies because they were beaten up in the first place, and those people get called out for it. However, you being toxic and sexist because of all the toxic and sexism around you, that's not an excuse at all. In order to make real change, we must all band together and leave hatred behind. Hatred is the problem here. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "Only the unloved or the unnatural or the alone hate." And this statement goes both ways here. We shouldn't hate on someone because they're spreading hate. We should call them out and ask them to change. Toxicity in gaming should be called out left, right, and center in all forms, all races, all genders. Everyone should be on equal footing here because no one gets a pass to be full of hate. If you spread hate, if you act toxic towards any race or gender, you are part of the problem. Period. Sure, there are some humans in this industry, in this community, hell, even in this world, who for some reason can't just accept women or LGBTQ+ being in the gaming industry, but when you let that toxicity infect you, you've already lost and you've become the same exact part of the problem that you claim to be trying to change. So while there is no doubt a lot of stuff being blown out of proportion here in the community if you just Google and look up stuff on Reddit, there is still some shred of truth and viable reasons to be worried here, but let me make this very clear. Do I want Sam Maggs to be fired? Is this a hate piece against her? Hell no. Despite her toxicity, she has worked hard in this industry to get where she is, and she is indeed skilled despite some of the ignorant statements I've seen about her work, and she's also done some great work for equality in this industry, but sometime over the last couple of years, she fell off the deep end and allowed her hatred to consume her. She should not be rewarded for this behavior by getting positions like this. Instead, she should show that she is willing to change, stand for equality, and leave hatred behind. So my hopes with this situation is instead that she takes note of all this and can actually maybe calm her haterade down a bit, but I kind of have the feeling it's going to have the opposite reaction here, and she'll probably double down on the hate, and people will probably hate on me for this. But whatever. Sure, improve the story a bit, and even make some more changes, as the bird outside my window is already trying to leave negative comments down below, but I firmly believe that I speak for all the KOTOR fans here when I state that we want the Knights of the Old Republic that we remember. The game doesn't need to be massively changed and turned into some kind of like social commentary piece. We want Star Wars to remain Star Wars, and there are already some badass female characters in Star Wars that I can't wait to see again, but either way, this is a video I wasn't sure about making in the first place, even though I do stand by my own opinions here as well as actual facts I can back up by her own public statements, but I can already tell there's going to be a bunch of drama following this video. I try to keep it as focused on the facts as possible here, and as you saw by the direct tweets I linked, her toxicity does indeed deserve to be called out, and if you think it doesn't, then you're on the opposite end of toxicity here. Either way, I still have high hopes for this game, so let's not assume everything is all over and full of toxic hatred already. But that's going to finish up everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, as it'll need it, trust me, and share this video as well because it'll need it, trust me. And if you want to stay in the know when it comes to the latest gaming news, be sure to subscribe, and finally, if you want to go above and beyond to support the channel and the community, be sure to support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time, when I really hope this just didn't open up a dramatic can of worms here. Jeez.
It just works.